Hi, I'm Tiffany Oshinsky, and this is Serving Pancakes with League One Volleyball. The inaugural Love season is just around the corner, so we're talking with some of the amazing people in the league to introduce you to the players on the court and coaches and others involved off the court. Today's episode features LOVB Madison outside hitter Mariena Hayden. Born in Minnesota, Mariena took her talents to the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, where she played an integral role in leading the Rebels to 2 Mountain West Conference championships. She was also named the conference's MVP, Best Outside Hitter, Best Scorer, Best Server, and Best Spiker. She's also played professionally in Greece and France and now brings her talents back to the States to play in Wisconsin for League One. Mariena, welcome to Serving Pancakes. Thank you so much for having me. I have to start with a current topic because the women's NCAA volleyball tournament is happening right now. So have you been watching it at all?
Yes, last night I watched the UNI and Louisville game, and that had my heart rate so high because I know of 2 of the girls that play at UNI because they're from Minnesota, so it's kind of cool, but they gave the 1 seed a run for their money. But yeah, I've definitely been tuned in, and I'm rooting for Mizzou now because that's where my old head coach, Dawn Sullivan, coaches, and she brought them to the Sweet 16 now, so I'm rooting for her and hoping they end up making a fun little run, and yeah, definitely been tuned in.
All right, well, let's talk about love now. So how does it feel to be playing professionally in the States?
It feels so great and so surreal. I mean, I got to go home for Thanksgiving this past week, and I haven't been home for Thanksgiving in like my senior year of high school, honestly. So It's been like a long time. I didn't get to come home when I was in Greece because they don't celebrate it over there, so it's not really a holiday like kids go home for. So it's great to just get in my car, drive 4 hours, and be at home and spend a couple of days with family, and it was really nice because I hadn't been able to do that for a long time.
Did you get to have like a special reception from the family because it was your first Thanksgiving in forever?
No, my mom was just excited and had my bed made up and my room in the house made up, but my brother didn't even know I was coming home. One of my best friends from high school, she teaches at elementary school in our hometown, and she went up to my brother. She's like, "Aaron, are you excited for Mariena to come home today?" And he's like, "Wait, she's coming home today?" And she's like, "Oh no, did I ruin the surprise? Were you going to surprise him?" I'm like, "No, I wasn't going to surprise him. I probably just told him a week ago and he forgot." But he was thrown off and excited, and I get a phone call and like, "Mo, are you coming home today?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Oh, nice." He's all excited. So, yeah.
Is he older or younger?
He's a freshman in high school, so he's 14.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Now, going back to League One, there's a lot of girls, a lot of women in the league who played overseas professionally. What have you found for you to be the difference between professionally and now being here in the States, besides being able to be home for Thanksgiving?
Right. I think the biggest difference is probably like the balance of life and volleyball. You know, they're very big on wanting us to have like a balance between volleyball and our own life. Like overseas, it was a lot of volleyball, and here it's like we're in the gym from 9 to 1, and then we're done for the day, you know? So they want us to make sure we fill our lives with our happiness and what makes us happy, and then that'll make us perform on the court. So I really enjoy that part of being able to, you know, explore a little bit Madison and do some different things. And we like to go to trivia on Wednesdays. Some of us like to go play trivia at this little brewing thing, so we do that on Wednesday nights, and
I love that.
It's just fun to do something other than volleyball, you know, get to know your teammates a little bit more.
Real quick, I gotta ask, what's your trivia subject expertise? What do you bring to the table on those nights?
I don't even know. I thought it was going to be like music. I think maybe music, because one of them was like she was like just speaking the lyrics and not singing in them. But like a couple of them, I was like, "Oh, that's that song," even though it didn't have like a rhyme or music to it. She was just like going down the road, and I saw a girl with brown hair or whatever. So it like didn't have a rhythm, but I was able to pick up the lyrics. I'm like, okay, and I like ran it back in my head. I'm like, whatever. So I thought it was gonna be birds. Birds is not my topic. History, not really. I mean, I like history, but I don't know enough about it. But I like learning about it. But we didn't come in last, so that was our goal, was not to be at last place. So, yeah.
Solid goal. What was your team name?
Amazonians, because we kept walking into the brewing place, and the lady was like, "Geez, is there like a height requirement to be on your guys' team?" And we're like, "Actually, we play volleyball here, pro volleyball in Madison. It's just, if you see somebody walking in, they're over 6 feet, they're probably on our team."
So talking about, getting to know your teammates a lot better, did you know any of them personally before you joined Love Madison?
Not really. I didn't know any of them, like, personally. I obviously knew of a lot of them, but I hadn't played against or played with any of them. So it was kind of fun coming in and meeting people and seeing new faces.
Were there any players in particular that you were excited to see that they were on your roster?
Of course, Lauren and Annie Drews. I mean, when I saw Lauren the first day, she's like, "Hey, Mom," I'm like, "Hi, Lauren." She sees this, but no, it's just cool to, those household names that now you're like part of their team. It's kind of a surreal moment.
So can you talk about a typical day in your preseason world right now? Like, I know you said that you're 9 to 1 and then you get to enjoy your life, but like, what do you do between the hours of 9 and 1? What's a typical day at Love?
I'll start when I wake up. I wake up around 7:20 because I like to have my coffee, a little breakfast. As I've gotten older, I've learned I'm not the type that can just roll and go. I need to like wake up and let my body process. So wake up around 7:20, drink some coffee, eat some breakfast, leave the house around 8:15ish, get to the gym around 8:30, get some treatment, talk to the girls a little bit, and then at 9, we have like optional passing, so the passers will go and get some extra passing reps in, and then 9:30 is when our practices start. So then that's when everybody's kind of in there and we're doing our thing from like 9:30 to 11:30. And then every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have workouts after that. But then on Tuesdays or Thursdays, we'll have like film or something, or we're just done for the day. Usually Thursdays is like a team meeting, like serve and pass type of day and recovery. So it's more of like a chill day to let our bodies kind of recover a little bit. Yeah, that's kind of what my normal day looks like.
That sounds so nice. I mean, I would love to play volleyball and work out and make my life.
Yeah.
Well, Love Madison head coach Matt Fearbringer has been on the U.S. men's national team staff for both the Olympic bronze medals in 2016 and 2024. So how has he been like as a head coach?
I've actually really enjoyed him a lot. He talks about his men's teams a lot, just like their systems they do and everything like that, and kind of how we can incorporate into us, because we're running some systems and different formats in practice that most of us have never played volleyball like that before, but he's really big on trusting your system and doing your system really well, and if we do that, we'll be a great team. So it's kind of nice learning something from like a men's point of view, or just, I mean, he's so tall, I didn't realize how tall he was, and he'll be like up at the net like tipping a ball, but he'll just be like and like throwing it down, and I'm like, geez, Matt, like jump a little bit. But no, it's kind of cool just to see his different philosophies on the men's game and the women's game, and how we can kind of tie those in together. So yeah.
I feel like, the men's game is so powerful and strong, and the women's game, I feel like there's so much finesse. I mean, the men's game has finesse too, but I feel like you see a lot more longer rallies in the women's women's game. What are the differences that he teaches? Like, what does he use from the men's side to bring to the women's game?
More so just like blocking schemes and defensive schemes. So like we're blocking, like committing to the outside. That would determine like what defense we're in, and like if everything is as it should be, we should get a dig, or we should play defense around it. Because like in the men's game, if you're not in the right place at the right time, it's over. Like they're gonna get a kill. So like translating that to women's, like if we're in the right place, and because our game is more finesse and a little slower, like we'll be able to make it move from that, or just end up being in the right place because our block is doing the right thing too. So we'll all just kind of float together, cohesive. So it's starting to come together piece by piece in practice, and then like when we scrimmage each other. So it's kind of cool to see. But yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Now, you're from Minnesota. You're used to the cold, but how has it been?
I'm not sure if I'm used to it. I just deal with it. But
you know about it.
Yeah.
So how has it been in Madison, Wisconsin?
It's like 48 degrees outside today, so it's actually really nice out. This past week, it's been like 20s and like in the teens, which is cold. Because, I mean, being in Vegas and overseas in Greece, it didn't really snow much, so I wasn't used to the snow, I guess. But like coming back here, I'm like, I haven't been back for a winter in a long time. Like, what am I gonna do? But thank goodness I have an automatic starter in my car. So like 10 minutes before I go to my car in the mornings, I start it up, and then when I get in there, it's ready to go. So I'm like, even though we only live like 5 minutes away from our facility, I'm like, I'm not sitting in that cold for 5 minutes. So.
Well, so tell me about Minnesota. Tell me about what it was like growing up in Belle Plaine and how you found your love for volleyball.
Well, Belle Plaine's a small town. It's about an hour south of the Twin Cities. Like it was like 6,000 people. Now it's about 7,000. So it's a small town. When I was growing up, I did a lot of sports like softball, basketball, volleyball, gymnastics. I tried. I became too long for the bars. My body would like touch the ground before it was supposed to. So I had to give that up. I did dance. I did everything that involved like moving just because I like to be involved. And volleyball just kind of stuck. I think it was 5th grade is when I decided to try out for like my town's JO. So it was like Belle Plaine JO. And I ended up playing with 8th graders when I was in 5th grade. And my first position, I was actually a setter. They needed a setter, and I was tall for my age and bigger, and I just needed to put the ball where I needed to go. So that was my first ever volleyball position, was a setter. So that's just kind of how it blossomed from there. I just kind of played. And then when I was 16, I went to Northern Lights because my mom's like, you're not going until you can drive. I'm like, fair enough. I won't want to drive 45 minutes 3 times a week either. But so I played Belle Plaine JO and then went to the Northern Lights when I was 16 and kind of took off from there. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. How important was your mom in your volleyball career?
She was pretty important. She pushed me a lot, and I think instilled that drive into me. She just always wanted me to dream big and not give up on my dreams, even being from a small town, and give a lot of credit to her when it comes to my hard work and my wanting to be great, because she helped me a lot with that.
And who did you look up to when you first started playing volleyball?
I really liked watching Micah Hancock because I was like a Penn State fan when I was younger too. So like watching her play, and I got a picture with her one time after one of their games at the U. They were like walking out to their bus after the game, and I asked her for a picture, and she took a picture with me. So I really liked watching Micah, mainly because of her serve, because she did that like crazy top spin. So I liked watching her do that.
How does it feel to be playing against Micah?
I think it's gonna be like full circle moment. Like she probably doesn't even like know who I am, but I will see her and I'll be like starstruck, just because I've watched her since I was probably like 12 years old, So it's just kind of cool to have that full circle moment and just see her play in like real time.
You can be like, I met you way back when, and you
be like, you probably don't remember, but I met you when you played Minnesota, and here's us in a photo.
You should recreate it.
We should. That would be cute. 15 plus years later or whatever it was.
There you go. Now, I was reading about your high school career a bit, and I saw that in the state championship, you tore your ACL but stayed in the game?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that did happen. I think I may have tweaked it, me and the other girl. It was the game point, and I went up to hit, and she went up to block, and we, like, hit knees. And I, like, went down, excuse me, and I stood back up, and I think my adrenaline was just pumping, and I, like, was feeling my knee. I'm like, I'm fine. Like, I'm not leaving this floor. I told my setter, I'm like, do not set me. Like, I don't know how this is going to go. Don't set me. She's like, yeah, I'm not going to set you. So then she sets our middle a slide. Our setter covers it. The middle sets me. And I go up to hit it, and I'm like, don't land on my left leg. Do not land on my left leg. And I naturally, like, lean this way when I hit. So, of course, I land on my left leg, and you can just, like, see my knee, like, buckle. And a bunch of people had videos of it, so I have a video of it on my phone. But we got the point, and everybody erupted, and I tore my ACL. Yep.
Oh my gosh. Were you like on the floor in pain celebrating or
I know, I think I blacked out because I don't remember much of it. Like all I remember is like waking up or just like coming to it and like everybody surrounded me and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like a bittersweet moment because everybody was like cheering and then they realized like I was on the floor like screaming in pain and they're like, oh no.
That was also your school's first state championship, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there you are just in pain from an ACL tear. Oh my gosh.
You can hear me like scream in the video too, like throughout the whole arena. Like you can just hear when I land, like ah, and then it's over. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
Wow, bittersweet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you were an amazing high school player, and then you went to UNLV. But at what point did you know that like you could keep playing volleyball and play in college?
I think it was probably because our head volleyball coach at the time, she went and played at USD for a year and then went back to Minnesota, but she was a D1 volleyball player. And it was in seventh grade, I played JV and got pulled up to varsity towards the end, and then my eighth grade years, like when I started varsity. And I think that's when something switched, like in my brain, like, okay, I might actually be kind of good at this sport, or I might actually like want to play this sport. And then my uncle and my aunt live in Las Vegas, and I went to a camp out there at UNLV my eighth grade going into ninth grade year, and that's when they offered me like a scholarship to play for them. So that kind of made me think like, I might kind of be good at this thing. Maybe I want to continue playing it. My mom's like, I know you want to play volleyball, but like you don't understand now, but like this full ride deal it's a big deal. Like if you're going to go somewhere, you want to have your school paid for. And that's what it was. And obviously I wanted to commit right then and there, but she's like, you're not going to school in Vegas. I'm like, whatever. But just kept my options open. And my sophomore year, I think that's when I committed there. And I had to call my head coach and tell her, like, hey, we won the state championship, but I tore my ACL. But I ended up making obviously a good recovery and being able to come back from that. But I think it was like my eighth grade, going to ninth grade years when I was like, yeah, this is something I want to do.
So when you tore your ACL, were you nervous at all that maybe like volleyball was over, or did you just become more determined to overcome it?
I didn't think I fully understood like how serious the injury was. You know, you see ACLs and whatever, but then I hadn't seen like very many stories of other people tearing it. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a comeback. But you didn't see stories like back then of people like not making a comeback or not getting their strength back more than you do now just because of social media and everything. So it just made me like super determined. I went up to TRIA like 3 times a week once I was able to start like doing my rehab, and like was in a really like intense rehab program, and they made sure I was ready to go. I didn't like my knee brace, and the first time I started playing, I didn't wear my brace, and my doctor like found out about it, and he's like, you put that brace back on, like you're not allowed to play without that first year coming back and playing. I'm like, okay, fine, because I just hated, like, it felt kind of restrictive, but I was confident in myself that I was going to make a comeback. And it happened that I also played AAU and when I was younger too, and one of my AAU teammates tore ACL too. So we were both at TRIA, like doing the rehab program together. So it's kind of nice having a little buddy like going through that program together. So yeah.
2 ACL friends together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you went to UNLV, you were obviously an amazing player. What was it like being a collegiate athlete in Las Vegas?
It's weird knowing that like I went to school like in Las Vegas, because people go to Las Vegas for other things than sports. So I didn't really feel like it was a huge deal, other than like you can go to the Strip and so many things to do and whatever. But I liked the hotels, and they had like cool restaurants and cool little bars you could go to once you got older. But it didn't feel like any different than maybe, other than like that's all I knew. Like I would never know like what a college town was like. You know, if I went to Madison or somewhere where it's like a big college town, like bars, we didn't have like bars. It was like house parties like 45 minutes away, you know, like it was just a totally different scene than like a normal college like experience.
What about in the summer when you guys had to get to college to, you know, start training for the season? Was it incredibly hot?
Yeah, it was like that's something you get used to too, but like not really. I mean, June, July, August, it's like 105 to like 115 like every single day. It was just like you walk outside and it just like hits you like a blow dryer, you know, like it's just like, I mean, it's dry heat, it's not humid, but it's still hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very warm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't think I could handle that.
Like my shoes would shrink, like my little slides we got from school, they would shrink because they're like plastic, and if you leave them in the heat they like shrink. So like I had shoes that were like this small because I left them in the back of my car and the heat, so they like shrank. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that could happen.
Mm-hmm. I didn't either. And I looked at my shoe and I'm like, whose shoes are these? I'm like, they're mine. and they're 4 sizes too small. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
How many pairs of shoes did you have to go through?
Couple. I learned pretty quick the first time. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to just ruin
Yeah.
some shoes again. So let's not forget some slides in my car.
So when you were at UNLV, at what point did you decide, hey, I can go pro?
It was like in my mind when I was younger that I didn't want to play volleyball after college. I was set on like going to law school and just kind of continuing like volleyball. When volleyball was done, it was done. Because I didn't really know much about it. And then Kirsty Jackson, she came and she was an assistant coach at UNLV, and she was just like, I think you should really do this. And she kind of helped me with paving the way and helping me learn more about it, because I really was clueless. I had no idea. You don't really hear much about overseas when you're back here unless you know anybody that's over there. So she helped me a lot with that. And after my like super senior season, I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And ended up going overseas, and that first overseas experience wasn't the greatest and almost made me not want to keep playing. But my mom was like, I don't want you to base this whole experience off of 5 months in a bad place. Like, I want you to give it one more full season. If you don't like it, you leave. And then went to Greece, loved it, and decided I wanted to keep playing.
What made you ultimately decide France and Greece?
France, well, I was coming off of my half season. This team in France was good for like players that, I mean, they're a pretty high team in France, or had been in the past, and Kirsty knew the team and thought it would be a good spot for me to go to as my first season, to just kind of dip my foot in and get the hang of it. So you don't really have much of a say. I mean, you get a choice, but I'm sure a couple of countries, but coming in like in a half season, it's kind of hard to really pick a place. So France just seemed like a good, like, safe country for me to just kind of test the waters. So, and then Greece, I was like, what the heck? I want to go to Greece. Yeah. So went there and ended up being there at the same team for 2 years. And I really liked Greece a lot.
Was there like a culture shock when you got to these clubs, especially with the way that the U.S. treats college athletes?
Yeah, France for sure. I mean, compared to like our college weight room, our weight room in France was like the size of my kitchen. It was way smaller, and like the trainers and stuff, you didn't have trainers. I practiced every day, so it was just like a big like change. Like on road trips, we didn't have like food waiting for us like before we left for games or something. Like in college, definitely a big shock. I mean, considering it's pro, I think they get some. I mean, I'm sure the bigger teams like they get all the good stuff, but like better treatment in college than in pro, or like body wise, I guess, and food wise. But now in Madison, it feels like I'm in college again. We have a trainer every day that's willing to do treatment. We have food in our locker rooms. We get food sometimes after, before practice. So it feels like I'm in not college again, but it feels like we're getting the same type of treatment, which is nice.
Was that a big reason to make you come back to the States and play for League One, or were there other reasons behind that decision?
Mainly, well, I was over in Greece. I loved Greece. I probably would have stayed there again if I didn't get the opportunity to play here. But it was more so my grandpa passed last January, and I wasn't able to come home for that. So that kind of was like a deal breaker for me to come home, because me and my grandma are super, super tight. God forbid something happens to her, but if something did happen to her and I wouldn't be able to come home, I don't think I'd forgive myself for it. If I had to quit the team or terminate my contract to be able to come home for that, I would. So it just made sense for me to come back home, because my people aren't getting younger and my siblings are getting older, and it's hard missing out on those times, especially Christmas. Didn't get to come home for Christmas the past 2 years either. So it was just time, and couldn't pass up that opportunity to do what I love and be able to be around my family while doing it. So that was kind of the main reason what made me love my teammates, love the club in Greece, loved all my friends I met, but it was time to come back home. Yeah.
I'm very sorry to hear about your grandfather.
Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're now able to be with your family.
Yeah. Thank you.
Let's talk about your life off the court.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to do when you're not playing volleyball? What are some of your other passions?
I've been trying to find some new passions. I love to binge watch shows. Right now I'm into Peaky Blinders. I'm kind of late to it, but I've been watching
Haven't watched
Peaky
it yet. Heard it's fabulous.
It's really good. It's very good so far. I like to go shopping. That's also a problem, but more so like online shopping. Like I will just sit and like scroll for hours, which is bad. I like trying new restaurants. I like trying new food. I think that's why I liked overseas so much, especially Greece. Like the food was just unreal. So it's nice to try different restaurants here. I've always tried to like learn how to crochet, but like there's not an artsy bone in my body, and I don't think I could figure it out. And my grandma knows how to crochet like washcloths, and I'm like, can you please teach me how to crochet like an animal? She's like, an animal? I don't know how to do that. I'm like, well, you know, like the basic patterns of like the washcloth. I'm sure I can figure it out. But no, I'm open to different things. I like trying new food, going to check out like the trivia place. I love to read. Forgot about that. Love to read. I'm on my, what series is it? Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I'm on the 5th book. So I only have 2 books left, and it's a pretty big series. But I've read to all the book nerds out there. I've read all the ACOTAR ones. I don't know if you've read or have heard about those books, like
No,
A Court
not
of
those
Thorn
ones.
and Roses.
Oh, yeah. That was like I remember a lot of people were reading those books.
Yeah. I read those like when I was in Greece. I like whipped those out in probably like 2 months, and they're like pretty thick books. But now like the problem is I get obsessed, and then like I can't put it down. And then I finished the book, and I haven't started the 5th one yet because I'm like I need a little reset before I don't do anything else except for read. But yeah, I really like to read, especially when I find a series I like. I enjoy reading.
So you said you like psychological thrillers. I saw on your Love profile that your favorite podcast is Crime Junkie, right? Is that true still?
Very true. That's what I listen to on my drives from home to here. It's 4 hours of Crime Junkie, and I can't get enough of it. Yes, for sure.
I think all of my podcasts, for the most part, are either sports or true crime. How did you get into true crime?
My mother.
Oh, really?
We used to watch Law and Order Special Victims Unit when I was younger. That's still like my favorite show. I've watched every season, every episode, and I just like crime because my major was criminal justice in college. So I've kind of always liked crime and that stuff, which is, I mean, it's weird, but I like listening to it and trying to like figure it out. Like, I think my dream job would be like a forensic analysis or like something like that with like hands-on crime stuff. But I think I was so scared of that stuff when I was little. Like one time our gas station got robbed like by our house, and I had like an extreme like panic attack and like threw up, and I was like, I'm gonna die. Like it was like really bad. But now I'm like, I love that stuff. Like listening and researching and all that stuff. It's just interesting how people can get away, but then years later, now that there's more like science behind it, it's starting to come out. Like the whole like Jacob Wetterling thing. I mean, he was from Minnesota, so that was like a huge case like in our state. And when that came out, that just like broke my heart because, you know, he killed him the first day he took him, you know. So it's just like that poor family. But I like crime. I like all that jazz.
So you said that you would love to be like a forensic analyst. You said that you were going to go to law school after college, but decided to keep playing volleyball. Do you think that when you do eventually hang up your knee pads that you are going to continue down this criminal justice path, or do you think you're going to do something else more volleyball focused?
I think I'll go down the criminal justice path. I don't want to go back to school since I've been out of school for so long, and I don't want to pay more money to go back to school. So I would like to be a detective. That's like one of my top ones, but I don't want to go through the process of being a cop before that just because it scares me. I wish there was another way I could do it. But yeah, I think I would want to go down that route for sure.
You want to be like Mariska Hargitay and
yes!
Yes. I mean, she's pretty much a badass, so.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like, life goals right there. Yeah. Even if I have to act to be her, I will. Maybe I'll go down the acting route just so I can be a detective.
There you go. You can play a detective on TV. Bring your passions all together.
Yeah, I can do that.
Love it. All right, well, last question to wrap the interview up. This is a question I like to ask all the girls. With Love and the inaugural season about to be here, what are you hoping to showcase this season for the fans, for the media, for the public to know about you and about the sport?
I'm just excited to bring volleyball to the States and inspire the younger girls that this is possible. You know, I wish I had this type of platform available to me when I was younger, you know, being able to watch pro athletes still doing their thing, you know. I mean, we had college athletes to look up to, but like knowing there's a place after college and still at home and not have to go across the sea is really inspiring to me, because I would have loved that. And I just hope that we can bring back a league to the States and show fans that we love volleyball, and it's a great sport and we're competitive. And even though we're women, we like to compete and have some fun. And I think it's awesome even that there's some like moms in our league, so you can like have kids and still be like a badass on the court and like do your thing, you know? So I'm really excited for the whole league just to come together, because all of us are so different, and just show everybody that you can do your thing here, and we can do it well.
Great answer. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Mariena, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to speak
you.
with me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Serving Pancakes. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. You can also listen to the podcast version on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.